At our core, we all want the same things. We want a home that's safe and that we can be proud of. We want a career that's fulfilling. We want children who are thriving. In essence, we want stability. But as you know, life does not always allow those basic desires. Roadblocks like the COVID-19 pandemic or a car accident can change things in an instant. Oftentimes, those who finally reach out for help have done everything within their power to address their needs. But the weight of the burden is just too heavy. Take, for example, Janice, a recent client from Ashland City, who, due to domestic violence at the hands of her husband, was forced to flee her home. Friends took her in, and her 2 children. But the baggage of life began to pile on. She had no economic resources. Ashland City is not a walkable city, so transportation immediately became an issue. She had no driver's license, no legal way to actually separate from her spouse, and past evictions prevented her from finding new housing. Desperate to find resources, she finds work at a local restaurant, but now struggles to find childcare. Who can she leave her children with? Will they be safe? Can they be left alone temporarily while she goes to work? Allegations of neglect soon become reality. She didn't ask for this, but yet here she is, reaching out for a lifeline that may or may not be there, knowing that without it, she can't take the next step. Well, my name is Darkenia Waller, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee and the Cumberlands, and I also serve as Board Chair of the Tennessee Alliance for Legal Services. Joining me today is Laura Brown, who is the Executive Director of the Tennessee Alliance for Legal Services, the backbone agency, along with Brittany Farrar, who is here representing Youth Villages. I'll now turn it over to Laura to discuss how our Family Stability Initiative can help bring long-term solutions to the baggage of our mutual clients.
Thank you, Darkenia. Good afternoon, everyone. We have the enviable position of being the very last presentation on 2 very long days of presentations. So we will do our very best to be brief and to wrap up expeditiously and go ahead and get you guys home. And we really appreciate in advance the opportunity to do this presentation, and we're very honored to be here to present the Family Stability Initiative. As you know, simply put, the Family Stability Initiative will coordinate legal and social services and access to legal and social services for stronger, more stable families. The Family Stability Initiative will empower TANF-eligible families to address core, systemic legal and social challenges that impact the very foundation of family stability through coordinated legal and social services that take a whole family, strengths-based approach to keeping families together, increasing economic stability, reducing poverty, and providing holistic, integrated, and equity-focused solutions. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Darkenia painted a picture for us at the beginning of our presentation of a mutual client of both social and legal services. We can see our family has burdens. They're facing legal issues that they don't have any way to address, and they're also facing social services issues where they can't find the access that they need to those resources. We have the social services providers who are providing those resources. They're experts in their field. And we also have our legal aid services, our legal services providers, who again are experts in their field, but operating in different silos. There's no intentional coordination between the 2 service providers to help the mutual clients. The population to be served by the Family Stability Initiative is the TANF-eligible population. You've heard a great deal about that particular population throughout the course of the 2 days, so I won't spend a lot of time on this slide. Just to note that our social services providers have told us that they also, as you can see here, 71% of low-income families have at least 1 legal issue per year. They have also noted that, and the legal services research has also indicated that as well. The population that will be served will be TANF-eligible families throughout the entire state of Tennessee, so all 95 counties. This is a statewide endeavor and a statewide initiative. The solution that we're proposing to assist these families and to empower these families is an evidence-based one that is family-focused and is a cross-sector continuum of a care approach. We're removing the legal and social services barriers to ensure success and empowerment for our families. The provision of these coordinated services will address the family issues and prevent family engagement in judicial and social welfare services. The Family Stability Initiative is designed as a long-term project to ensure long-term stability. Our theory of change involves creating opportunities for addressing the needs of both families and children and providing access to these legal and social services for these families. What that might look like for families will be different. It is not a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all approach. There would be an assessment at the beginning to identify the needs of that particular family and those particular children that are in front of that care provider. What that could look like is, in some cases, it could be an attorney to go to court with a family to work on eviction issues. It could be career counseling for the parents to ensure that they obtain or actually just retain employment. It could be counseling. It could be parenting classes. It could be assistance with getting a driver's license reinstated, so the parent would have access to more stable transportation in order to seek steady employment. The outcomes are outlined in our grant narrative and proposal. Couldn't go into all of them here, but just to mention, the legal services organizations will serve 4,800 families over the course of the 3-year grant period. The social services entities have committed to serving 3,000 to 5,000 families as well over the course of this grant. These are very, very, very ambitious goals. However, the partners have committed to reaching these goals, and as the backbone agency, TALS will be very involved with the subcontractors on probably a daily and weekly basis, evaluating data, reaching out to subcontractors, offering additional training, doing outreach with families and children to make them aware of the Family Stability Initiative. I do want to point out that the Family Stability Initiative is based on a project that was a TANF-funded pilot project with the Department of Human Services a little while ago, and it provided legal services to TANF-eligible families in certain counties throughout the state of Tennessee. Our legal providers were very successful with that project. They helped many families on that pathway to success and economic stability, but a gap was identified, and that gap was the need to have a social services partner working with those attorneys to providing those holistic wraparound type of services. Briefly, here's a slide showing our collaborative and our partners. The legal folks, of course, are going to be providing the legal services. The social services partners, including Family and Children's Services, they will be providing the Relative Caregiver Program. Youth Villages will be providing their research-based and evidence-based intercept program on a broader basis. The Prevention Coalition for Success offers social services supports for families before a petition is filed in juvenile court, and they will be able to increase their capacity. Kids Count will be utilizing and leveraging the Kids Count regional network to get out word about the Family Stability Initiative and also to assist in letting people know that the Family Stability Initiative works. The Tennessee Alliance for Legal Services, as we mentioned, is the backbone agency. We will have the project director on staff with us. I will be working very directly with that project director, even though that person will be new. I do have prior experience implementing grants of this size and even larger on a statewide basis, so I'll be working with that person very closely to ensure that there is a successful implementation of the Family Stability Initiative. Here are some of our activities that we will be conducting. You can see our social services agencies. These are not all inclusive by any stretch of the imagination. And then both the universal outcomes and the TANF priorities that our project will be aligned with. Here's a slide that shows you the statewide impact of this program. The legal services and the social services will be offered on a statewide basis, and you can kind of see where everyone sort of operates and works. Here's our budget slide. Our budget request came in slightly under $25 million. Yearly, that ranges from about $8.1 million to about $8.3 million requests per year to fund the project. And I do want to point out briefly that almost 95% of the funds that are requested are in our professional fees and grant awards, which will be going directly to our subcontractors to provide direct services to clients to increase capacity and provide those services. The partners and TALs believe in this project and anticipate seeking additional funding after the TANF grant ends to continue working and continuing this project throughout, for as long as we possibly can. Our very last slide is why the solution slide again, our synchronized legal aid and social services to provide the statewide services to addressing our root issues and increasing family stability. This project should be funded because it is unique in that it is the coordination of both social services, and you guys have heard a lot of presentations about social services, but it also adds that legal services component, which has been recognized as a very valuable component to a social services project. And through the combination of these two services, we will be able to empower families and increase family stability. I now want to show you our very last slide, which is actually the story behind the statistics. And this is the story of Cassie Small.
I myself would like to start all over and get the chance that I've never had.
Cassie Small,
And this is the only thing I have to keep this house warm.
is stuffed.
But it get warm enough to still need a little blanket.
This winter, she's depending on a stove for heating
And my electric bill is running right at $400 alone.
because that's all the home she's renting has available.
That's without everything else that's on the bill.
High utility bills are only part of the problem.
Court cost fines, tickets, and things has built up over the years.
Like too many people in Memphis, Cassie is drowning in debt, and the biggest part of it,
$5,000.
unpaid parking tickets and fees that come with
No,
them.
it wasn't anything serious. Only maybe disregarding a couple of traffic stop signs or something.
Cassie says those unpaid tickets she received for minor traffic violations have kept her from driving for more than 5 years, and that makes it hard to find a job outside of Millington.
Because a lot of the jobs starts at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and from where I am out here, you have to get on the bus maybe by 5 something, and you still won't make it to work on time.
No job means no money to pay off all those bills and fees, but there is hope. It's coming from a new partnership between the Tennessee Department of Human Services, the Tennessee Alliance for Legal Services, and the Memphis Area Legal Services.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of educating folks on their rights.
The organization is providing attorneys like Allison Ponder
We need to call together.
to get people in Cassie's position a little help dealing with debt.
It can be hard to get help if you're just trying to do it by yourself and you don't know your rights necessarily, so that's what we're there for.
I told them I had an income loss.
So we're really there to kind of help her deal piece by piece with these issues so that she can really move on and do what she wants in life.
The program is called Cycles of Success.
Yeah, I was using the heat, but
It's already helped Cassie expunge one old ticket.
I was smiling. I'm still smiling.
In time, the plan is to help this mother get the remaining tickets and unpaid utility bills under control
That will open the door for opportunity for me.
so she can focus on what's actually important.
That means that I am secured as a mother to take care of my children first and foremost. The sky's the limit. I can do just about anything when I'm relieved from everything.
So imagine the impact if we would have had this, the ability to have a social services partner with us when helping Miss Small with her issues. Thank you so much. That ends our presentation, and we look forward to your questions.
So, and I will check with my team afterwards, but give me a sense of, you said we were doing this previously, but we stopped doing it.
That is correct.
Why?
The funding ended and the contracts were not renewed. Because there was a new process. The Cycles of Success program ended in December of 21. And then the new TANF allocation process started, is my understanding. But it was a very successful project throughout. And we had limited geographical reach because we serve limited counties, mostly distressed and at-risk counties. But the project that we're proposing with the Family Stability Initiative will serve all 95 counties.
And are the relationships that TALs will be utilizing with the human services agencies, are those existing relationships, or are you having to build those anew?
So the agencies are, the social services agencies do exist, but the relationship and the coordination between the legal services and the social services will be new. It was a gap that we identified in the Cycles of Success project, and then started talking to social services agencies to see how we could fill those gaps.
If I can,
Yeah.
if I can if I can just further elaborate on that. Again, the lesson learned from the Cycles of Success program is that attorneys provide a niche service, right? It's something that everyone cannot do in terms of going to court, representing someone in court. Our goal is to maximize the efficiency of the work we do by bringing on social services to assist us in the things that are better suited for them to do, so that we can maximize our attorney time. Because I will tell you, under the Cycles of Success program, we spent a lot of time handling the social service issues, because no one just shows up with a single legal issue and nothing else is wrong. And so bringing those two together allows us to maximize what we can do to help, while then addressing the full issue of that entire family, and doing it on a 2-gen level, so that we're not just addressing the parents' issue, but the underlying children's issues as well.
I love the idea that you're presenting there, and thank you for doing it. 2 questions. You made this statement a couple times now that the original project that was funded by TANF was very successful. A, how did you define success?
So we had a number of success outcomes written into our contract with DHS, and we met those metrics. There were a number, like one of them that off the top of my head I remember is 70% of the families coming into the program that were either at risk would then be moved, the needle would be moved due to the legal intervention to where they were at the stable or better categories. So we had, like I said, we had many metrics written into that program, and we did meet those metrics at the end of that grant.
Good.
Yes, sir.
The second question is you're talking about, I believe you said there's no intentional coordination between the legal and social services. I get it. What is the methodology by which you're going to be able to do that coordination? We've heard a lot about coordination today, and it always involves case managers and all this kind of stuff. How are you going to do it?
Very good question. So the partners, the legal services and the social services partners have spoken and have talked, and what we are trying to do is to do a coordinated referral processing system using a helpline as well, where folks could call, they could be assessed. We're trying to work on a standard assessment that could be utilized across both service types to reduce the need for clients to have to tell their stories over again and have to provide documentation over and over again, while still maintaining the ethical boundaries of both the legal profession and the social services profession, right? There's still some of those ethical things that we have to take into consideration. But we're working on exactly how that would look, but that is the goal and the plan, is that coordinated, you could call this number, you could be assessed, and then you could be sent to the provider who's in your area, or you could call the provider directly, right? There would be sort of a no wrong door type of way to address this. You could call the providers directly. They would have the training. TALS is going to be training the legal providers and the social services providers, cross-training them as well, so that the social services providers would be able to identify pretty quickly, this is a legal issue. I need to send you to legal aid, and they need to deal with this, whereas I need to deal with the job counseling, the training, these types of issues.
Will you go back to your map, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Let me see if I can
You
make
had
this work.
solid colors, and then you had some that were
Sorry.
stripes. What was, and the code didn't have the stripes, so I was just curious as to
Okay.
Murray, Stewart, Dixon, yeah.
Yes, so the colors here on the left, statewide, there are 4 legal services providers that provide legal services at no cost to participants, to TANF eligible individuals. So those are your legal services providers, and those folks will be ramping up capacity to serve additional people. Over here, you can see the black outline where Family and Children's Services has their relative caregiver program. That's statewide as well. And then all counties in the state of Tennessee would be Youth Villages, the Intercept program. The striped is the safe baby courts. There are 14 of those actually in the state of Tennessee. And those are a very specialized court that offers support to families and children in the court system when children are very young. What they've committed to doing is to refer their individuals that they see with a legal issue to the legal providers. There's not a pathway right now to get those folks the legal help they need. There's more of a pathway to get the social services supports that they need. And then the Family Preservation Initiative counties are starred as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Legal services capacity. Is there enough legal services capacity if you did not have to deal with the social services issues? Is there enough legal services capacity to support the population statewide?
No. And I'm going to let Darkenia elaborate a little bit more on that in her role as the executive director of one of the legal services organizations.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, the legal need of persons in Middle Tennessee far outweighs our ability to address every need. But we certainly try to be very intentional in terms of the cases we address, with the idea of trying to make systemic impact on those cases. So if we can take one particular case that will then change things for 30 other people, 100 other people, 1,000 other people, we do. And a lot of it is advocacy. Some of it is for sure, standing in court, but a lot of it is advocacy. It's conversations with TennCare, with DHS about what we're seeing and what changes we can do to make it better for our mutual clients.
Thank you once again. And let's go deeper into that. Let's talk about the historic nature of TALS and the pro bono work that occurs in many instances, and talk about what we could do if we get engaged more on a pay basis. So tell me a little bit about that, and then I've got half a dozen questions. Forgive me if I make everybody late going home today. So, but as we're talking, please talk about that first.
Sure. I will address what
And
I think your
clarify.
question is. Yes, so TALS is a organization that facilitates and supports the legal services organizations in the state of Tennessee, right? So we do that through seeking funding, through helping them get the resources they need to serve their populations. We don't charge for our services. TALS operates a legal helpline that provides legal advice, and that's actually a component to the Family Stability Initiative as well, but we do not charge for our services. The legal services organizations don't charge for their services either, neither do the social services organizations.
How quickly are these recipients able to get those legal services, the desire for those services?
So that's very hard for me to say. However they're referred, or if they call in, there's an assessment and an intake process, but it is usually fairly expeditious, particularly if we have a client who needs someone to go to court with them, say it's Monday on Friday because there's an eviction. We can absolutely do that, and that has been done numerous times over the course of both Cycles of Success program and then in addition in their regular work with the legal.
And on your page, population to be served, 71% of all low-income families have at least one legal issue. Is there 1, 2, or 3 issues that jump ahead of that? Is it evictions? Is it, we saw the young lady there with the auto issues, with the driver's license issues? What are the, or is it across the board?
It's sort of across the board, but with our Cycles clients, we did actually go back and speak with some of our Cycles clients and did some focus groups and some interviews and used that to inform the Family Stability Initiative as well. We see a lot of driver's license issues. We see a lot of debt issues. We see a lot of family issues, some custody issues, and a lot of eviction issues. Darkenia, anything else to add there? Those are the primary issues that we're seeing, and the primary issues that our clients indicated to us that they really still could use some additional help with.
In the finances, 95% will go to subcontractors for direct services to clients. Paint that picture a little brighter for me. Give me an idea of the 95%, the dollars supporting this program, and how the clients are assisted.
May I add to that question, because that was my big question too.
Yes.
It's fine. If the lawyers are all pro bono,
Yes.
and the social services people don't charge for their services, what's the 25 million going for?
It will increase capacity for these providers to serve even more people. They've committed, and we've looked at the numbers that the social services and the legal services organizations have committed to serving. I was looking through, and where the dollars will be going primarily is to raise capacity and add direct service staff. So the legal services organizations would be ramping up and adding more attorneys and a couple of paralegals to assist, right? The social services agencies would be adding more counselors and more folks that help in the Intercept program, more relative caregiver counselors. I did a quick calculation yesterday, and a conservative estimate is it would result in about 65 at a minimum additional direct services personnel being out there serving clients. And that was a minimum because the way it's structured, Intercept has a slightly different model. So, did that answer the question? Okay. Answered both of them at once? Awesome. Efficiency.
I was really struck by the slide at the beginning about how people don't realize it's a legal issue. And, you know, the speeding tickets reminded me of a thing I've heard that for people with more income, speeding tickets are essentially a tax for fast driving, right? Where for her, it was obviously really impactful. So I'm just curious if you can expand more on, you know, they think they have this issue, but it's actually a legal issue.
Correct. And that's where we do an assessment at the beginning to identify those issues, right? And we've done that in several different ways and several different models. We've done something called a legal wellness checkup before, which causes the intake person to sit down with the individual in front of them and kind of ask them a series of questions that have branching logic. And we identify, like, yes, you do have, you know, some speeding tickets that we can probably help you with. And, oh, by the way, your rent is 2 months behind. So how can we address that? So it's not just the issue that the person comes to us with, because very frequently the person will be like, oh, I have an issue, my heat's not working. But you can see with Ms. Smalls, we went in to help with the heat, and then we found out about, well, I can't really get to my job because I can't get my driver's license because I have these unpaid speeding tickets. So we work very carefully. It's a very holistic model where we try to address all of the issues that are facing that family and preventing success.